Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's me, Irvin, with another manga chapter review. I figured we're going to end the year today, so why not do a new chapter review, a new series called Suicide Girl, which is, I think, up to about 13 or 14 chapters out of time of recording. So quite a bit of chapters out. I actually did really enjoy the first one, so I'm going to try my best to actually review this one to the end, or until I catch up to it. There's a lot of mangas out there that I'm reviewing, trying my best to get as many of them out, reviewed and checked out for you, but I'm also trying my best to get my room ready. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's finally coming up. I have to buy definitely more bookshelves because I have books and still boxes down over here that you don't see that I don't know where to put. So I need to buy more bookshelves, and hopefully you guys can help out. One way to do that is by subscribing to my channel, and another way is by checking out the description below. There is a link where you guys can buy cheap manga at a very, very, very cheap price. So if you haven't done so by now, make sure you follow those two steps, and that will help me tremendously. Another thing you can do is go check out the giveaway video. Tomorrow I'm announcing the winners. I'm going to try to do my best today to promote that video because not a lot of people are in. I'll be honest. It looks like it's going to be a very small giveaway, which is fine. But if you guys want to get your hands on some DVDs, then either join the giveaway, or if you're watching on the first, then make sure you don't miss on the live video, because you can also still win something while you're live. So for now, let's start with Suicide Girl and what the whole story is about. The first chapter, which is typically the one that sets up the story and gives you the big cliffhanger, does a really good job. It actually sets it up and then gives us, I would say, almost what feels like the second chapter all in one. And essentially, we meet this girl who is excited to kill herself and her life. She is at this place where they, essentially how we know it in the world is assisted suicide, where someone helps you commit suicide essentially in a fast, maybe not as painful way. So she is there with 3 other people who look miserable. They look like death, and essentially they take sleeping pills and they stay in a van, and they're essentially going to kill themselves with the exhaust, whatever, of the vehicle. And that doesn't happen. She has hallucinations, and then she wakes up and she is completely lost. She's like, why does heaven look like the back of a van? And then realizes what's happening, and ends up being what actually seems to me, at least, and I'm not really sure if this is what happens, but it really seemed like they got drugged, and the drugs kind of made them snap out of it, or at least because they thought they were coming close to actually ending their lives, they had a change of heart, and everyone except her are having a basically joyful time. Like, they're happy that they're actually have a second chance to life, a second chance to actually redeem themselves and go and do something with their lives. And she's kind of like, she feels like she's been cheated away from something, and I don't blame her. I mean, she was there to commit suicide. So she goes home and she essentially doesn't know what's happening, but she actually has been chosen, and it seems like it's spiritual type of series, because she kind of now cannot commit suicide. She tries to hang herself and she doesn't lose consciousness. She throws herself off a building and doesn't break a bone. So she is basically not able to kill herself, and she doesn't know why. And eventually the old man that was supposed to help her kill herself shows up and explains to her that she's been chosen essentially to be someone who seeks people who are going to commit suicide and basically prevent them or stop them from doing so. So she she's given a task, and this is the second half of the chapter. She's given a task to save this girl, and she's like, well, where am I going to find her? And she just happens to pass by her, so she follows her to the spot where she knows she's going to commit suicide, which is throwing herself in front of a train. And they go through this whole conversation about how she shouldn't do it, and then she even goes into even details like, you're gonna make a mess, you're gonna traumatize people here, like, why don't you just commit suicide privately where you wouldn't affect other people? And she goes through like a lot of things to try to convince her not to throw herself, even including like you're making a bigger issue for your family than what it would have been if you stayed alive. And she makes a good few points, I would say, but the girl at the end of the day still commits suicide. She throws herself when she's not looking, and she ends up killing herself. Now, a few keynotes, because the chapter basically ends there, but a few keynotes that I want to point out. When the girl that is committing suicide sees our protagonist, she sees like a messed up human, like guts going everywhere. I'm not really sure why she sees that. And then lastly, the chapter actually ends with our protagonist looking around, and there's this like creepy smiling girl amongst the crowd, and we don't know who she is other than she has what seems to be like a devil star in her hand. So we don't know what's going on yet. We don't know why she has these powers, and we don't know why she has to even do what she's doing. But it looks like the anime or the manga itself is going to be a girl who she herself wants to commit suicide, trying to prevent other people from committing suicide. Now, I get it. It's a very sensitive topic, and it does use a comical side to it, as well as a very gruesome side as well. So I will say this manga is not for everyone, especially if you're going through stuff like this, or if you have a family member that's going through stuff like this. It could trigger stuff, and it can also make people very, very sensitive to what they're reading. And I understand what they're coming from. So I do want to throw that warning out there. It's not for everyone. It's not for the lighthearted, and it's not for someone that's going through stuff like this. And I've said this before, not with just suicide, with other stuff. There's mangas that are reviewed about people being abused, and I say, you know what? If you're being abused, or if you went through stuff like that, maybe this is not for you. And that's because it can trigger stuff, it can make you bring memories back, or whatever. So if you're going through stuff like this, maybe it's not for you. They don't use a lot of comedy, but there is comedy to it, as well as horror and gore to it. So I wouldn't recommend it to lighthearted, at least to the subject itself. So out of 10, I would give this one a 6.5. I think it's a good plot. It's starting at a good point. I just wondering how it's going to progress, and I don't know if it's going to go up or actually down. So for now, I'm going to leave it at a safe spot of a 6.5. Like I said, I do recommend it for those that maybe wouldn't be triggered with the whole suicide topic. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this. If you haven't done so by now, make sure you subscribe. Go check out the giveaway video. Check out the description below. Thank you for your love and support. And like always, don't be strangers. See you guys.